Ah, yes. Right. So you can see we are live now. Yes. Okay. And hello, everyone. How is everyone doing? Hope all is well and stay safe during this season. We will start this session with my guest in a few minutes' time. If you just joined us, do like, tag, and share our live with all your friends out there so that many will come and enjoy this sharing session. We are now into the second week of February 2021 and one day away from the Chinese New Year for those who will be celebrating tomorrow. Welcome to the 10th edition of my live session, and my name is Xing, and I will be your host for today. Before I begin, I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you who are watching this live right now, as well as those, not forgetting those who will be watching the video replay later on. For those who are watching for the first time, this live is all about us, our stories. Everyone has a unique story to tell. We may not realize it, but our story may inspire someone out there, especially in this extraordinary time. We hope that through this sharing session, everyone will be able to connect better, share, and learn from each other's experiences. Do you have one? What is your story? We would like to hear from you. Do connect and reach out to me on my Facebook if you would like to share your experiences at the link provided at the bottom of the screen shortly. We all know that running a business can be challenging and yet rewarding. What more, especially in the highly competitive restaurant industry? Now, for someone who has been through it all, seeing how business grow all these years, and riding past through one of the most extraordinary year ever last year, today, and celebrating 17th birthday this month. Now, isn't that something special? And isn't it that amazing? Today, I'm super excited to have this experienced restaurateur with me from Melbourne, Australia. She has been the face of her business since day one, where her vision is not just a restaurant, but we see it as a community-conscious cultural hub, a place where people can come together to connect, create, and celebrate. Apart from her business, she is also actively in social work as part of her giving back to community. Without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let us put our hands together to welcome Miss Amy too. Hi, Amy. First of all, I would like to thank you for joining us today. I'm excited to have you here, and we really appreciate you taking some time off and share your inspiring story with us.
Thank you.
Can you please briefly tell us about yourself?
Certainly. Well, before I do that, I just want to send a very early happy Chinese New Year to the Asian community, and also just want to send a big thank you to you, Xing, for inviting me on your wonderful platform. I've seen all your talks and I'm so inspired by all your guests. So I'm just so excited to have this conversation with you, and let's share some positivity to the community and beyond. Who knows? Yes. Mm-hmm. So what was your question?
So can you please briefly tell us about yourself?
Wow. Gee. Well, I come from a family of 5 children. I'm actually born in Vietnam. My parents are Chinese, Vietnamese, and grandma is French. So I've got a bit of mixed blood in me. Came to Melbourne when I was 4, but I've always been very blessed and privileged to be growing up in a family who enjoys foods, because Dad used to be a chef. So I've been brought up in that environment, and both Mum and Dad are in the business industry. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So, how long have you been in Australia?
I've been here all my life. Came here when I was 4, so well, I'm happy to share my age now, turning 46 next month, so 42 years, but educated in Australia, in Melbourne all my life. So I guess I have the best of both worlds, having an Asian background, which I absolutely proud of, but also at the same time to be raised in a very multicultural society, which is very fascinating, I think.
What are the things you miss most in your home country now that you are here?
Good question, because I left my hometown, Vietnam, when I was 1, and then went to China at the age of 2, then moved to Hong Kong when I was 4. So as you can tell, my childhood has always been a lot of changes and a lot of adaptation. But one thing, I guess what really brings home to me is food. You know, especially Chinese New Year coming up now, right? I remember my childhood memories. My late mother, you know, she passed away about 5 years ago. I always remember that all family and friends will gather around to share, you know, stories about history. And this is, I guess, something I would love to continue in whatever I do. But definitely food is a great part of my life, as well as, you know, people around me. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Food is always the international language.
Language, so it doesn't matter which country you're from, right? Food always brings us together in the most beautiful way.
Yeah, always connect people together, right? And speaking about food, what is your favorite food? Your favorite food?
Wow, it depends on my mood. What is my okay? You know, I can really, doesn't really matter what kind of food I eat, shall I say, but I really appreciate the person who spends the time and the love in preparing and to share. But if I were to say what is my favorite, oh, I've got a few. I've got a bit of sweet tooth. I love chocolate souffle. I can be as simple as having a bowl of fresh fruit salad, you know, and definitely, of course, you know, my husband's cooking, you know, in Mexican cuisine. Absolutely. Eating for 17 years, and I still love it. I do. Yes.
Can you please share with us about your early career journey and how it all started?
Of course, my career, well, my study was in psychology, specifically in community psychology. And back then, it wasn't very popular, but I knew I was attracted to working with people. That is just something comes natural to me. And I've been in different industries. I've worked for the government in child support agency. I've also worked in the corporate world in financial planning. I've worked in the community sector, and I've also worked in the educational sector, both as community development and project development worker. So, you know, and I've also worked in entertainment, you know, once upon a time, I must say, I used to work for the Crown Casino. But my most vivid memory, and I really see it shaped my life of working with people, is when I was 13, year 7, and I knew somehow, you know, that independence, being a teenager, right? You almost had a taste of what independence means. And I remember my first job. Do you know where it is, Chi? Do you want to guess where is my first job?
Your first job?
Yeah, paid job.
In the office?
No. Good guess. I wish I was that smart, right? I remember on a Saturday morning, I caught the bus, went to Victoria Market, walked up and down the aisles looking for a job. And I was hired by an Italian couple. And that was my first, should I say, lesson, first teaching of what it's like to work in sales and with people. Yes. And that is something, you know, I will never forget.
why do you choose entrepreneurship over being an employee?
Wow, that is an excellent question. I guess one has, in order to answer your question, what is entrepreneurship, right? And I never kind of see myself as an entrepreneur per se in the traditional sense. But what I love about running my own business is the freedom. The freedom to make choices for ourselves, and I love creating things, bringing people together, and for a positive cause. And one thing nowadays, more than ever, and what really keeps our society going, is the concept and the practice of community and collaboration, more than ever before. And that is what drives me, what motivates me every morning. Every day is a new day. Every day is a new chance. How we can live out our day, how we can bring the best version of ourselves. And I think that's very exciting. Absolutely, that inspires me. That absolutely gets me up. Yes.
Wow. Looking back, did you make the right decision?
To run my own business?
Yeah, I mean, between being
Yeah.
an entrepreneur, and so you make the right decision.
I always feel, as I'm heading towards my 50, the time to reflect. Every decision we make, every step we take is always the right decision for us. Because I feel, and this is my belief, whatever we need to grow is right in front of us. So we're always on the right path. It may be not what I expected. Sometimes there's a bit of a, mistakes. It's never failure. I never see anything as a failure unless, failure to me is only when I give up. But when I learn, and some lessons are bittersweet, and some of them are just more than I expected. So it's always the right decision. And when I personally feel that we know that we are in good hands, some people believe in, the universe, there's something of greater universal power. And when we believe that we always got it in the right path, everything will fall into place. Always. And I trust that. Yeah. So that's something that keeps me going forward.
Okay. Why do you decide to venture into your own food, into the hospitality industry?
I love that question. I wish I can say, this is exactly my path. How did it all start? I think I was at a time, a very interesting, and if I could perhaps paint a context where I was. So this is at the age of 27, right? So, oh my goodness, 19 years ago. I've got to think back now. At the age of 27, when my first son, because I've got two teenagers, my first son was only about a few months old. And, like most young couple, you buy a house, first mortgage, right? Big fat mortgage, newborn. And at that time, my husband was in the corporate world. He was in the IT industry. And I specifically remember that day when he came home to me and he said, I'm done. Yes. So that's how yeah.
Amy, can you? We can't really hear.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you try again?
Oh, sorry. All right.
Okay.
Then how it all started, running my business. Is that what you? Yeah. Can you hear me more better?
Yeah. Now it's much better. Yeah.
Much better. Sorry about that. Okay. Just stop me anytime because I can talk and I can keep talking forever.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So as I was saying, there was a time in my life when I was 27 years old. I had I think at that time Ethan was only 6 months old, right? A little baby. I had a baby, first mortgage, I was on maternity leave. My husband at that time was in IT industry, travel around the world, do his things. And that night he came home and he said, I'm done. I don't want to work for anyone anymore. And I knew in some way as a woman it was coming, as a partner, when you know someone that well, you knew something wasn't right, but you don't know how to approach it. But now, given the circumstance I was in, I had two paths. Either we play it the safe way, and she said, just keep going, don't worry, we'll just keep going, we'll get better. But without any hesitation, and I mean it, and without hesitation, I said, okay, what would you like to do? And he said, I'm going to run my restaurant. I said, okay. Because for me at that time, the risk was just to lose my house. But my husband, happiness was greater than that. And that's how it all started. That was the first step into our journey. Yes. And I never looked back. And I guess for those, who are thinking, and who are thinking of, should I do this? Should I follow it? Do I do it? Trust your instinct. Whatever feels right, just do it. And trust there will be people that will show up in our life. There will be circumstance. Somehow the universe will help us. Yeah. So that's how it all started. 17 years ago.
And you decided to do into the hospitality business. Why not any other business?
Why? Okay, maybe if another way, if I can interpret right, why Mexican restaurant, not Chinese or Vietnamese, right? Or,
Yeah, okay, right? Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, you go.
Yeah, I mean, why choose a restaurant business? You can do any other business.
Well,
you can do
do
trading. You can do some other things, not the food, hospitality.
Yes. Good question. And this comes back to my relationship with Alan. My husband. I'm very blessed to have a great friend, a great business partner, a great parenting. And when you have that close of a relationship, you trust that person. And somehow, one way or another, when Alan was doing his IT's corporate world, when he was at uni, he actually was working for a Mexican restaurant. He was trained by a Mexican chef. Never had the intention one day he will open a Mexican restaurant. And it's very interesting, when he started his Mexican restaurant, I wasn't in the scene. I was, my priority then was my baby. I had a baby, but I only came into help as a support 3 years while I went into the business in 2007. Yes.
Okay, right. So that brings me to actually your question, which is, why do you start a Mexican food and not Chinese or some other restaurant?
In business, you do what you know. You do what you know first as a stepping stone, and then go from there. Yes.
Okay.
I can't cook. I cannot cook. I've been very blessed. I was growing up of a family of chefs, and I'm the youngest, so I never had the opportunity. But I've been very fortunate to understand and value what quality food is, but also the art of hospitality.
And I think your husband was trained by a Mexican chef, right?
Yes. Yes.
How did the name of your restaurant come about?
Amor Mexico. Well, Amor Mexico, or More Mexico in Spanish, means love Mexico. This name, even though we were in business for 17 years, this name was given to us by the community in 2014. So it's only been 7 years. We started in hospitality as part of a franchise, as part of a Mexican franchise. And 2013, when Alan, and with the support of the community, definitely, him being a very creative person, want to create and share his love of his dishes, his signature dishes to the community. And, as you can appreciate, if you're part of a franchise, you can't really deter, right? And it so happened in 2016, we had the opportunity to move out of the franchise. But we had 2 weeks to do it. My goodness, going from franchise to independent in 2 weeks, I don't know how we did it, but we did it. And this is the support of the community. And I knew it was coming, and I had started the conversation with my customers who supported us from day one. And mind you, Xing, at that time, we were the #1 performing restaurant, franchise restaurant. Again, right? Most people would think, gosh, you're comfortable, you're on the top of your game. Why would you go independent? But as an entrepreneur, it's not about being there's always something to grow. There's always something to develop. And that was the time we said, okay, at the top of our game, I reckon we can go better. We can do better. And it was a response from the customers as well as Alan's passion. So within 2 weeks, we changed our brand, and because we were so busy with organising logistics, we had to come with the name. And at that time, Alan and we came up with the name Tacos, which just wasn't very creative, right? It was just like, we got our franchise and a new name, and that didn't work for 8 months. And I said, oh my goodness, the people still can't differentiate us because the name is so important into a business. This is one thing I learned in business. Our name is our identity. So anyway, and so I said, okay, I don't know what I'm going to call it, So I asked the community. We ran a naming competition, and I always believe from day one, when we would go independent, my vision of Amor Mexico was meant to be a community restaurant. That was our first, vision. And we had well over 400 naming entries. And Amor Mexico was chosen. So, when I talk about community, they've been with us from day one, from the name to the menu to the way we decorate. And I would obviously, I would tell that on the part 2, but that's how Amor Mexico's name was born. Yeah, very blessed.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful. What are the challenges when you first started, when you first started the business?
Wow, I've got a whole list. Okay. For those who, who's in the industry or wants, if you're in the business world, or for those who are looking for a career change, I'm sure you can relate. It's not just simple as making a change. First of all, one of the, I wouldn't say obstacles, but one of the learning gap for me personally was finding the balance. I was trying to do it all, right? As a mother, trying to look after my little one. I don't know how I'm going to find the time. Guilt kicks in. That was one thing I had to work with. And then I had to develop a new relationship with my husband, because no longer am I a relationship with Alan as husband and wife, but now I'm in a business world. And mind you, I was thrown into an industry I have no idea. Right? So it's almost like learning how to walk again, even though you're expected to run and fly. So that was the challenges. And of course, the finance. As an employee, you're pretty much certain you have an income, right? As long as you perform. When you're your own business, run your own business, everything starts with you. So there were so many skills I'm very blessed to learn. But one thing that I've always maintained and hopefully to develop is have the courage to ask and to seek like-minded people. and to ask for expertise. And that's what keeps me fresh. Yeah. But job challenges, yes, because I remember now when I reflect back, when we have a More Mexico as a business, it's not just Alan and I. Oh my goodness, it's the whole family. It's a family business because I had young children, and obviously that affects their upbringing. And now, yes, that's a story in itself, Shane. Yes.
Yeah. I feel that you have a lot of wealth of experience to share as well. You have been in this industry for more than 17 years now. And I can see that you speak very passionately about your business. Can you share with us where do you get your daily inspiration from? And how do you get yourself motivated?
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you can feel my passion and joy in Mexico and with the community. Where do I get my motivation from? It's the people around me, is the customers that walk through the door every day, is my friends, because as human beings, I feel there is a need. There is a need for anyone who, regardless what industry, what age or stage, from a young child to an adult, we all want to be seen, heard, and understood. And when I have, I'm so blessed when everyone that walks through my door, or every time I make a phone call, they have the trust in me to share their story, and that inspires me. There's so many people doing great things, and they're so humble, and that inspires me to do better. How can I contribute? How do I get motivated? I do three things, and this is part of my lifestyle, which I've developed, since I was probably 30, so 16 years. 16 years. My priority is to sleep well. I don't care if the world is falling down. I need my 8 hours sleep. I do, because I know the next day I'll need to bring out my A game, my best version. I'm very blessed that I have a chef, but to eat well, I look self-care, and and to exercise. Those are the three things that keeps me in optimal performance. And I love reading. I love books. Yeah.
Wow. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing your daily inspiration and how you get motivated. Do you have someone who you always look up to as your mentor?
Oh, I have so many people that inspires me. And recently, because I love reading poetry. In terms of the book world, Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, I think he's a great ruler in terms of his philosophy. I love Rumi. He's a poet, Middle Eastern poet. Wise man. But in terms of real humans, I would say lately, and we don't actually per se have a mentor-mentee relationship. I always find mentor-mentee relationship is something that happens organically and naturally. And if he's hearing, I've actually have two great friends, Gary McPherson and Gary Schuler. And the reason why they inspire me is because they are the experts in the industry, but they never could see themselves as them in the industry. And they're so generous in sharing their time, their knowledge, and to create impact. And also, sometimes we find inspiration in the most unexpected ways. It could be a conversation with a stranger. It could be a conversation that you have just, with a friend recently. Like, for example, Shing, you inspire me. I've heard your story, and you took that courage. I think heroes are everyday, ordinary people. And we never know how our words can, have an effect on people. We never know. And we may never know. But we can only do our best. So yes, and I've got great women, female friends as well. Definitely. Yes.
Well, yeah, well said, well said. From your own experience, what do you see a successful restaurateur entrepreneur should have?
What?
A
Sorry.
successful
What?
From your own experience, what do you see a successful restaurateur entrepreneur should have?
Wow, gosh, that's a big question. Okay. Oh, well, firstly, so thank you. Thank you for, seeing me as an entrepreneur. I never thought of that. But I think from a very young age, I've always been a very curious person. A curiosity is in seeing things with new eyes. I always have to think, I'm sure there's a better way of doing it. And I am fascinated by people. People really interest me. Right? Not necessarily in it's their passion on things that inspires me, and I guess the willingness to learn. Last night I was having a conversation, and a friend of mine who's doing martial art, and he said to, and I realized there's a white belt and black belt, right, in karate, martial arts, and then and then it came to the realization a black belt, it's really a white belt that never gives up. And it is that need. Whoops. Hello, can you still see me? Something just came up. Oh. Sorry.
Somebody, yeah.
Oh,
hi. Sorry?
Hold on, I'm not sure what happened. I love technology. Let me see. Oh, here we go. Sorry.
Hi, Chiong. Nice to see. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Yeah, nice to see you watching. Thanks for watching.
I love what just happened. Can you see what just happened? And this is real life experience, right? Yeah, I think one of the things with entrepreneurship is the ability to adapt and to reset. Oh, someone's live. Hi, Kong, how are you? Thank you for joining us. Yeah, that's wonderful.
So, if you are actually looking for an employee for your business, what are the attributes that you are looking for?
I think, actually not I think, I've been very blessed in my 17 years. I have seen the journey of many young people. And one of the skills that I look for in my restaurant, and every restaurant's different, right, is not necessarily the hard skills, right, the communication, but for me it's the character of sincerity, the character of honesty, and the willingness to learn. Because for me, with those three attributes, the technical side will come naturally. And I've been very blessed, very fortunate and lucky to have wonderful employees to work with me, and I learn from them as much as I have the privilege to train them, and to have as an employer.
Sorry, Amy.
Yeah.
I can't really hear.
All right, I'll lean forward. All right, well, do you want me to answer that question again?
Yeah, we can't really hear you.
Yeah, so the three attributes that I look for it's to join the team is sincerity, honesty, and the willingness to learn. With those three foundations, it's an attitude. It's really an attitude towards learning new things. And as I was saying, I've been very fortunate to witness, the journeys of many young people. I usually, have them joined in at the beginning of the university life and go through degree, right, for 3-4 years, and they grow their wings and they grow into, their choice of profession. And one of your questions, I remember saying, what keeps me going for 17 years, and I think, and I'm choking, I'm getting tears, is to have the privilege to have an impact on a young person's life. And I almost become a foster mom. I think I've raised it like 3-4 generations now. Yeah, my longest standing staff, who is a vet and a doctor, now he worked with me for 5 years, but pretty much, yeah, throughout the whole degree, the undergrad life. Yes, and to see them from, you know, a freshman to a fully grown adult, to have that privilege is priceless. Yeah.
Which matter most, soft or hard skills?
Which is more important?
Yeah.
Well, I reckon that equally as important. It's almost like saying, oh my goodness, which is more important, IQ or EQ? I think both. Both. And you cannot live one without the other. You know, EQ is, for me, my understanding is the emotional, the spiritual side. And IQ is the brain. If you have a heart, but you don't have the system to execute, it won't work. Or you have the technical side, but without the spiritual, with the softness, it still doesn't work. So to answer your question, they are both equally as important, but it depends on the context and the situation where we need to take one or the other. You know, I recently revisited one of my mini books. It was the 7 habits, of highly effective people. And, you know, in the COVID, the author said, he goes, most important thing is to be effective with people and be efficient with things. Unfortunately, you know, most people go the other way. Yeah. We can only change a person's mind through their heart. That's what I believe.
Wow, wonderful session. I think that we are running short of time. All right, everyone. I think that this concludes the first part of my life today, where Amy has actually shared her journey, stories on how it all started. I'm sure that we are all inspired by Amy's sharing session. So, Amy, do you have any more things to say before this? After all this, anything to summarize what you just said?
Oh, wow. Look, I just want to say thank you, Shing, for the opportunity to, you know, introduce me to your wonderful community. I think you're doing an amazing contribution to the community. I hope, you know, whatever my story could benefit someone. I don't know, somewhere in this world, you know, maybe I've done my job, but so from the Chinese heritage side of me, I wish everyone a very happy Chinese New Year, great happiness, great success and prosperity. And I can't wait to see you all again, you know, next week for part 2. I look forward to it.
In the second part next week, Amy will go on to share how she managed to pivot during one of the most extraordinary years ever seen last year, and what are the lessons learned. She will also share how she sees the future of the business and many other more. So stay tuned, as you will definitely not want to miss this part, where we continue with part 2 of this interview with her next week, which will definitely be much more interesting.
Thank you.
Once again, thank you, Amy, for your time and your insightful sharing session today. I would like to thank everyone for watching my live today, as well as those who will be watching the video replay later on. If you do like this live, please remember to share and let your friends know. Please follow me on Facebook, on the address link provided below, and also the Instagram, right? So that you will know when I will go live next. I will see you all in the next edition, and I would like to take this opportunity to wish all those who will be celebrating the Chinese New Year tomorrow, happy Chinese New Year. And until then, have a great weekend ahead, and I'll see you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye bye. Yeah, see you around.